Jai Mahamaya ki, Jai Bole Baba ki, Jai. In our last discourse, Brahma was explaining to Narada about the beginning of this kalpa and how he and Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu were taken up in a beautiful, bedecked with jewels, aeroplane or celestial car by the Divine Mother to unknown places. And now we're here on chapter 3 of book 3, and we're going to find out what happens. Brahma said, "We're very much astonished not to find water where our beautiful airplane landed us. We saw earth, resonated with the sweet cooings of the cuckoos, filled with beautiful fruit-laden trees, forests, and gardens. Big rivers, wells, tanks, ponds, water springs, small pools, women, men, all were there. Next, we saw in front of us a nice city enclosed by a divine wall, containing many sacrificial halls and various palatial buildings and magnificent edifices. Oh, we thought, is it heaven? What a great wonder. Who built this? Next, we saw a king looking like a deva coming out on a hunting excursion in the forest. The Devi Ambika, whom we saw before, is staying on the chariot. In an instant, our airplane propelled us by air, and we got high up again into the sky and reached in the twinkling of an eye another lovely place. We saw there a divine Nandana garden. There Sarabi, the cow of plenty, was staying under the shade of the Parijata tree. Close by her, there was an elephant having 4 tusks, and Menaka and other hosts of apsaras, celestial nymphs, were there, and their various gestures and postures, playing and dancing and singing. Next, we saw the great wonder, Varuna, the lord of the aquatic animals, Kubera, Yama, Surya, the sun, fire, and other devas. Then we saw that in front of them was Indra, the lord of the devas, was coming out from a well-decorated city. He was there situated in his palanquin, calm and quiet and carried by men. Then the car where we were situated began to get up high into the sky again. And in the twinkling of an eye, we reached Brahma Loka, that is saluted by all the devas. There, Shambhu and Vishnu were greatly bewildered to see Brahma at that place. In the council hall of Brahma, the Vedas with their angas and serpents, hills, oceans, and rivers were seen. Seeing all this, Vishnu and Shiva asked me, "O four-faced one, who is this eternal Brahma?" I replied, "I do not know who this Brahma is, and I'm beginning to wonder, who am I? And who is he? Why has this error come over me? You too also are gods, so you can better ponder over this." But before we had much time to think more, our car, going with the swiftest of mind, went in the twinkling of an eye to the beautiful, all-auspicious Kailash mountain, surrounded by bliss-giving yakshas. It was beautiful by the Mandara garden, resonated by the sweet cooings of the sukas and the cuckoos, and the sweet sounds of lutes and small drums and tabors. When we reached there, we saw the 5-faced, 3-eyed Bhagavan Lord Shiva, with 10 hands, wearing tiger skin and the upper garment of the elephant skin. He was then getting out of his abode, riding on a bull. His 2 sons, the great heroes, Ganesh and Kartikeya, beautifully adorned, were attending him as his bodyguards. Nandi and all the other hosts were following him, chanting victories to him. O Muni Narada, we were greatly wondered to see another Shiva surrounded by all of his attendants. So much so that, perplexed with doubt, I sat down there, and we all just were perplexed, didn't know what was going on. But next our airplane went on with the force of wind, and in an instant reached the abode of Vaikuntha, the amusement court of Lakshmi, O Sutta. There at Vaikuntha, we saw a wonderful manifestation of power. Our companion Vishnu was greatly surprised to see that excellent city. We saw there four-armed Vishnu of the color of a tassi flower, wearing yellow garments adorned with divine ornaments, sitting on Garuda. Lakshmi Devi was fanning her wonderful chowri to him. Struck with wonder at the sight of the eternal Vishnu, we took our seats in the car and looked at one another's face. And for sure, we were just astounded, perspiring, not knowing who we were and who these divine beings were. But in a moment, the celestial car ascended with the swiftness of wind, and in the twinkling of an eye, reached the ocean of nectar, the Sutta Sagara, with waves playing sweetly on it. This ocean, Sutta Sagara, is filled with aquatic animals and agitated with ripples. We saw and went along and came to a very wonderful place called the Mani Dwipi, the island of gems, in the middle of this beautiful ocean. It was adorned with mandara and parijata and other heavenly flowering trees and plants, with various beautiful carpets, with variegated trees, asoka, bakula, kampaka, and others, adorned with lustrous gems and pearls. It was resonant with the sweet cooings of the cuckoos and the hummingbirds of bees, and it presented the sight of a sweet, harmonious music playing there. Sitting on our airplane, we saw from a distance within the Mani Dwipi a beautiful cot known as the Shivakara, whose four legs represent Brahma, Vishnu, Ruda, etc., and whose top portion represents Sadashiva. Looking like a rainbow, with exquisitely beautiful carpets spread over it, and decked with various gems and jewels and inlaid with pearls. We saw a divine lady sitting on the cot, wearing a red garment and a garland of red cloth, and bedewed with red sandalwood paste. Her eyes were dark red, that beautiful-faced, red-lipped lady, looking more beautiful than 10 millions of lightnings and 10 millions of Lakshmis, and lustrous like the sun. The Bhagavati Bhuvaneshwari was sitting with a sweet smile on her lips and holding in her four hands a noose, a goad, and signs indicating as if she was ready to grant boons and asking her devotees to discard all fears. We never saw before such a beautiful form. Even the birds of that place repeated the mystic incantation Hrim and served that lady, who is of the color of the rising sun, all merciful and in the full bloom of youth. That lotus-faced smiling lady was adorned with all the beauties of nature. She was holding various jeweled ornaments, amulets, bracelets, diadems. Her lotus face looked exceedingly beautiful, with jeweled earrings of the shape of the Sri Yantra. And beautiful Devi girls were surrounding her. There were Shaktis on the four sides, always chanting hymns to Maheshwari, the lady of the world. She was surrounded on all her sides by Devis, and she was sitting in the middle of this beautiful Satkona, six-angled yantra. We were all wondered at the sight of this. Wonderful, from never seen before. We thought, who is this lady? What is her name? We know nothing of her from such a distance. Thus, while we were gazing at her, that four-armed lady became gradually 1,000-eyed, with 1,000 hands and 1,000 feet. So it seemed to us. O Narada, we became very embarrassed with doubts and thoughts within ourselves. Is she an Apsara, a celestial nymph, or a Gandharva, a daughter of any of the Deva girls? Who is she? At this juncture, Bhagavan Vishnu saw closely the sweet smiling Devi, and by his intelligence came to a definite conclusion and spoke to us. This is the Devi Bhagavati, Mahavidya, Mahamaya, undecaying and eternal. She is the full and the Prakriti. She is the cause of all of us. This Devi is unconceivable to those who are of dull intellects. Only the yogis can see her by their yogic power. She is eternal and also non-eternal, Maya. She is the will force of the Supreme Self. She is the first creatrix of this world. This Devi with wide eyes, the lady of the universe, has produced the Vedas. The less fortunate person cannot worship her. During the time of Pralaya, she destroys all the universe, draws it within her body, all the subtle bodies, and plays. O two Devas, at present she is residing in the form of the seed of the universe. Behold, on her sides are seen duly all the vibhutis, all the manifestations of powers. They are all adorned with divine ornaments and anointed with divine scents and are serving her. O Brahma and Shiva, today we are blessed and highly fortunate that we have got the sight of this Devi. The tapasyas and asceticism that we have practiced over yore have yielded to us this fruit. Else why Bhagavati has shown so carefully her own form. Those who are highly meritorious by tapasya and gifts of abundant wealth being given to the needy, those high-souled persons are able to see this all auspicious Bhagavati. The person attached to sensual objects can never see her. It is she that is the Mula Prakriti. It is she that creates the Brahmana and exhibits it to the Paramantma, the Supreme Self, O Shiva and Brahma. This whole universe and all the seers and seen, others things contained therein, owe to her as their sole cause. She is the Maya assuming all forms. She is the goddess of all. Where is I myself? Where are the Devas? Where are Lakshmi and the other Devis? We cannot compare to 100,000th part of her. It is this all excellent lady whom I saw in the great ocean when she beckoned to me when I was a baby, then with the greatest gladness. In former days, when I was sleeping on this cot made of the immovable fixed leaves of the banyan tree and licking my toe, making it enter within my mouth and playing like an ordinary baby, this lady rocked my gentle body to and fro on the banyan leaves, singing songs like a mother. Now I recollect all what I felt before at her sight, and I recognize that she is the Bhagavati. These very things I now communicate to you. Hear attentively that she is this lady, and she is our mother. Thus ends the third chapter of the third book on seeing the Devi at the Mahapurana Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharishi Veda Vyasa. Jai Mahamaya ki jai, Haryakandeshwari Mata ki jai, Bole Baba ki jai.